Good morning. Up bright and early this morning. Actually been up since 4:45. These days I'm getting up mad early, going to sleep earlier. I feel like I'm a lot more productive. I got a new routine. Every morning I get up. It takes me a while to get going, so I feel like if I get up earlier, it sets the tone for the day. You know what I mean? Beautiful day in paradise. But yeah, I get up I don't set an alarm, but I get up between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. just about every morning. And like I said, I don't have to set an alarm because um, I just wake up that early. Then I slowly get going, kind of browse the internet, check my emails from the day before, and drink my coffee or my Coke Zeros, which I've formed a terrible addiction to. You know, I quit drinking alcohol completely. Um, it's almost been 2 months, and it's been a very, very positive change in my life. And it's been very good for me because I don't wake up feeling groggy. I have a lot more energy throughout the day. I'm able to get way more accomplished. You know, I highly recommend, you know, uh, trying to quit if you do drink. I used to drink every day. Especially, at night, once the kids are to sleep, it would calm me down. And I enjoyed it to a degree. I mean, I did it for a long time and it became somewhat of a habit. You know, people have their ideas of what's considered a problem and what's not, but that's for each individual person to determine. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful day out here. Beautiful day. But yeah, I ever since I quit drinking alcohol, it's allowed me to just be a lot more clear-headed. You know, I've drank every day. I had a few bouts where I stopped for a while, and then never lasted long. You know, I my social interaction and socializing with friends, family, a lot of it's based around drinking, parties, events, get-togethers. You know, going out, and it's. I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking sociably if you're able to keep it at that. For me, it really wasn't able to do that. You know, it affected me in a lot of ways, and for me personally, I considered it a problem. I was getting really out of shape. I used to be an avid gym rat, worked out from the time I turned 15, 16 years old. Working out became a big part of my life. I was a high school all-state wrestler. Um, Started working out when I moved to Florida. My friend Brett, he's one of my best friends in the world. He was in my wedding and whatnot. But he lived across the street when I moved to Florida. Me and him became real close. We're still close to this day. You know, shout out to Brett. You know, he's a BG. It's my homie. He's doing real well. Still lives in Florida, about half hour from me. And we see each other. You know, we talk weekly. But he got me into working out. He was a star player on the football team. Actually won MVP of our high school football team, which was no joke. The Dwyer Panthers in Palm Beach, Florida. Multiple state championships and whatnot. And he was a big dude. And when I met him, I was a freshman in high school, and he was a sophomore. He lived right across the street in Jupiter Farms, and me and him started hanging out daily. We became closest friends, best friends for sure. And he got me into working out. He was a big dude, probably sophomore year in high school. Brett was about, I would say, 220, 230. He was the defensive end of the football team and offensive lineman. But he worked out, and he got me into working out. So working out was such a huge part of my life for a long, long time. And that continued all the way through. Beautiful day out here, man. But I continued working out all through my teens. You know, like I said, I wrestled in high school, so that always kept me in shape. I was a small guy. Like my senior year, I wrestled a 140-pound weight class, was a state qualifier. So I was a small guy, but I was always in really, really good shape. I was strong. I could bench press legitimately like 275, weighing 140. So, you know, I was strong, but I worked out through my teens. Then after I graduated high school, I started boxing. Had a time doing that. That kept me in shape. But I was always actively in the gym. Then as I started, you know, getting older, my career and everything, I still was a gym rat, still in phenomenal shape. But I started drinking more because it was social. You know, you're in your early 20s. You know, I was going to clubs and bars and meeting girls, and, you know, it just was socializing. That was a big part of hanging out, parties and whatnot, and clubs and all that stuff. So I would drink on a, you know, weekly basis, weekends mostly. Weekend warrior is what they call it. But as I got into my 20s, started working, I started drinking more, and it became, you know, a weekly thing at night. And it just grew. You know, I did maintain going to the gym, working out. Got into CrossFit in my late 20s, early 30s. I got real big into that. My wife was a beast. So we competed and did CrossFit competitions. You know, I got real strong. I could deadlift 525. It's on my channel if you want to check it out. Bench pressing the 300s. You know, I was a strong dude, but I was drinking all the time, and it eventually at some point became like a daily thing. And you know, some people can drink, you know, a few drinks at night, and at one point that's what I was doing. But eventually, you know, I found myself drinking more and more. And when the party stopped, you know, I couldn't really stop. So long story short, you know, over the past probably 10 years, I was drinking, you know, every day. And I kept working out, but I started getting injured. Welcome to the chat. Hit the like button, y'all. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We did a really cool video yesterday, but I'll get to that. But so I would work out, and I stayed active, and I actually got in really, really good shape in my mid-30s doing the CrossFit stuff. And then the injury started. And I don't know if the injuries were related to drinking. I'm sure they didn't help because you're dehydrated. I tore my pectoral muscle real bad, and that put me out for a while. Then I tore my calf muscle doing a CrossFit competition. I tore my pec trying to bench press 325 one time, and I was strong enough to hit it, but I was dehydrated. I think I drank a lot the night before. Was feeling good. Hit 275 like 4 times, so I jumped right up to 325, and that would have been a PR at the time. And I completely tore my pec completely off. It was the worst pain. So that set me back. Was my, you know, injury started around that time. Also during that time, I ended up with pancreatitis right around that time because I started drinking more because I couldn't work out. It's excuses, obviously, but yeah, I was drinking more, and then I got bit by a brown recluse spider around that time as well. So I was not in the gym. I was on these strong antibiotics because I had complications from this spider bite, and that's a whole different story for a different day. And I'll tell you guys that story. But I had complications, and this was a ongoing problem for like a year and a half. I was on antibiotics, Bactrim, the strongest stuff they could give me, which is very, very hard on your organs, especially your pancreas. And while I was on those antibiotics, I was also drinking more heavily because I wasn't in the gym. I was depressed that I wasn't working out. So I ended up with pancreatitis. It's called acute pancreatitis. And for those of you who don't know, your pancreas is not an organ to be played with because, you die if that shuts down. You can't get a transplant, from my understanding, and from what I was told by doctors. You cannot get a pancreas transplant. And I had pancreatitis. I was in the hospital for 5 days. Luckily, the levels balanced out, because some people, when they get acute pancreatitis, you just pass away. They can't reverse it, and it basically digests itself and starts eating itself. So I was in the hospital for 5 days, couldn't eat any food, and I was just on IVs. They were putting in the vitamins and stuff that I needed, but I couldn't eat anything for those 5 days. I lost a ton of weight. I went in 220 pounds. At that point, I was jacked. And I came out after 5 days. I was 185 pounds. I lost that much weight, but you don't eat for 5 days, plus I'm on medication, plus my body was going through all that trauma. So that was my first real scare with that. It was drinking, and a combination of drinking and the medication, because I was on pain medicine. I was on antibiotics for the spider bite complications, and I got pancreatitis. That should have been a wake-up call, because they told me when I was in the hospital right then, they told me that you can never drink again. Well, an alcoholic's brain, and I consider myself an alcoholic because I developed a habit, and I had to drink. I mean, that's how I dealt with my stress at night. That's how I dealt with a lot of things. I celebrated it with drinking. When I was mad, I drank. Same story for people that deal with alcohol problems, but that was the reality. And I ended up with pancreatitis. Should have been the wake-up call that I needed, but it wasn't. I took about a month off, didn't drink at all for about a month after my pancreatitis attack. And so what I did, I thought I could cheat my body. And instead of drinking hard liquor, I said, well, it was probably hard liquor, so let me try like White Claws. And so I started drinking White Claws, thinking that was a better solution. And it actually, to a degree, was, because I didn't have any more I didn't have another pancreatic bout, but that increased over time. I was drinking more and more White Claws, and I wasn't working out because I was I had a tore pec, tore calf. I had the pancreatitis, and I was dealing with that spider bite complications. I was a mess. So I wasn't working out. I was on medication. I was drinking. Ended up with pancreatitis again about 6 to 8 months later. Should have been another wake-up call, but it wasn't. After that, I was more careful with how much I drank, and I would take pancreatitis enzymes, or pancreatic enzymes, digestive enzymes that actually helped my pancreas, filter properly and break down my food and properly. But I was playing a dangerous game, and I knew it. But my drinking it developed. Just because you drink White Claws, it doesn't mean that there isn't negative effects. You drink enough White Claws, there's still plenty of alcohol in there. If you drink enough, you have the same complications. And about 5 years ago, I was drinking every day, and I was drinking more than I should have. And it started to affect me. I was dealing with the physical injuries. I was stopped working out. I was dealing with the physical issues, and my body started to just break down and lost all my muscle and just started to feel like crap. I was still maintaining, I was working, running my business. And from the outside, I had two beautiful kids. I have a beautiful, drop dead gorgeous wife. And I had a house, 2 cars, nice vehicles. It looked like I was living the dream, and I was. And I'm grateful and blessed that I have all that and had that, but it wasn't enough to get me to completely quit and stop drinking, unfortunately. And my habit got worse, and my production slowly altered, came down. I was not as productive. I was not as successful. My income started to go down, and I blamed, the economy. I blamed all this stuff in the world. Realistically, it was my own fault, and I was not living a healthy lifestyle. I was drinking too much, and it just started, to affect things. You start getting behind on your bills. I was depressed. My body was out of shape. I was drinking more and more because that temporarily made me feel numb, to be perfectly honest. And in social settings, everybody drinks. So I was drinking in these social settings, and, it'd take my mind off of the negative stuff. But inside, I was really, really not in a good place. And over the past 5 years to up until recently, my problems just got worse. My addiction got worse. And, I was getting closer and closer to financial ruins. I was behind on my mortgage, behind on my car payments. And it was tough. And I knew that I had a problem, but I didn't know how to stop and to get myself. I couldn't see a way out. You deal with a lot of things when you battle with addiction, and it's, you got physical withdrawals, which, they're real. I don't care what people, just stop drinking. Well, when your body physically is dependent on it, even though it's your fault that you got there, it was 100% my fault. But it doesn't change the fact that when I realized I had a problem, I was too deep in it to just stop. And based on that, what's going on? I'm walking down here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. This is my morning walk, just talking with y'all. If you like it, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe. I do all kinds of different videos. But so anyway, that basically my life got worse and worse, and I was really at a stage where I had to do something drastic, or it was going to progressively get worse, and the end wasn't near. I was going to lose everything, including my wife. My kids had always been there for me. We have a great relationship, but I wasn't as active with them as I used to be. I still go to their sporting events, and I was as active as I could, but I was tired all the time. I always had an excuse not to do things with them like I used to, and they begin to say stuff which breaks my heart that I get to that point. But I was able to finally, this is coming up till recent, a few months ago, I basically said I have to stop, and I got the help that I needed with doctors, and I didn't go to a full-blown rehab or anything like that, but I was able to get through the withdrawals, and I swore that I would never, this was the it. I'm not drinking anymore. And now today is day 58, and I have not had an urge to drink. I have no plans of ever picking up alcohol again. Not a sip, not one. I don't have any plans of drinking, and I'm dedicated to that. Inside of these last 2 months, when I tell you my life has drastically changed for the better, and God has answered my prayers, whether you believe in God or not, I do, even though I had my doubts before because I blamed everything on everybody else. My life has changed drastically. My production in my business completely changed. I all of a sudden was selling like crazy. I'm in the impact window industry, and I was doing, selling everything I touched, it felt like. And all of a sudden I was getting up earlier. I had more energy. I was more productive. I, was able to, think on the spot clearer because I wasn't always in a daze. And I started making more money. So that changed. My relationship with my wife and kids started to change. They see the changes in me. And now we're looking at, 55 days, so I'm approaching 2 months. And when you're talking about those alcohol, I don't know. Whatever weird stuff you're into, bud, I don't know, man. I'm responding to the chat, guys, sorry. But so in these 2 months, I was at my heaviest when I started and when I quit. The day that I quit, I was 236 pounds. And, this morning, I'm just hovering over 200. So I lost 30 pounds legitimately. I wake up every day between 4:30 and 6. Start my days early. Get my head clear before anybody's even up typically. I'm already got my day planned out, prepared for the day. I have energy to do so much that I wasn't able to do before. Multitask, all that stuff. So life has really changed. Finances have gotten in order. And I'm loving life. I'm loving the change. I'm loving the way I feel. Back at the gym, working out with my son, which he's avid, he's an all-state wrestler. And so now me and him can work out together. Doing the YouTube videos again. Me and him did an awesome video yesterday. If you guys haven't got a chance to see it, me and him went to the infamous Devil's Tree, which is where in the 70s, it's in Port St. Lucie, Florida. It's about 2 miles from my house. And it's at a place called Oak Hammock Park. They made a park around it. But in the 70s, it was in the middle of the woods. And this police officer unalived 2 girls. And he's linked to a whole lot more murders. But he was only convicted of these 2 unalivings. Hit the like button, y'all. And he did some bad stuff to these girls. And there's a tree where he used the tree for different purposes. You can look up the story. It's called the Devil's Tree. It's 2 miles from my house. So me and my son did a video yesterday. It's in my lives. So if you go to my videos, go to my lives. And we went to the Devil's Tree and we took our YouTube audience on a tour and we visited it. Really creepy place. For those of you who don't know the story, they tried to cut this tree down because, it was a tree in an area where, bad things happened. It's a monstrous tree. 500 to 1,000 years old. It's called the Devil's Tree. Look it up. And there's movies about it, documentaries about it. One of the most haunted places in the United States. So me and my son did a live yesterday. So go to my live videos. And we went and visited it and took you guys on a tour to it. It's about an hour video. It's really cool. We went to the tree. But they tried to cut this tree down. And they could not cut the tree down. 1, it's massive. 2, for some reason, from what people say, allegedly, they could not kill or cut the tree down. The chainsaws would break. They tried to burn the tree. There's still burn marks and stuff on the tree. They could not burn the tree down. They tried to kill the tree from the inside out. They poured like concrete inside of it. Like it had like a open hole in the tree. They tried to put chemicals and in the video you can see all that. Really creepy, but they couldn't kill the tree. So when you go to Oak Hammock Park in Port St. Lucie and you go down these paths, they have these walking paths. It's a really cool place. They have a park built out there, but if you walk a mile or so into the woods, you'll come across the Devil's Tree and it's still there. And because they couldn't get rid of it, they couldn't kill it or cut it down. So you can visit it. And it's check the video out in my lives. It was from yesterday. But definitely a creepy vibe to the place. A lot of people do like satanic rituals there. So, there's been reports of weird stuff and satanic rituals and people have been caught and arrested and whatnot. But yeah, check the video out. It's called the Devil's Tree at Oak Hammock Park. Me and my son went and visited it yesterday and we did a live stream there. So you should be able to find it. Yeah, everybody hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm just a family channel. I basically go over my progress. I'm gonna have more progress because I'm not gonna start drinking anytime soon. I'm back at the gym. And we also do fun videos. I was a rap artist back in the day. I even did a song with Jelly Roll before he blew up. I did that for years, so I have music that I talk about. My son's wrestling videos and my daughter's dance. We list stuff about that. We do fun family videos, lives. Me and my son have a series called Break That Box. Me and him are both deeply in the sports card hobby. So we collect cards, but we do something called Break That Box, where we buy boxes of cards and we open them on live. And then we do giveaways for our followers. And, we call it the BTB fam, Break That Box. We have some very, very loyal subscribers that watch our videos, and we give giveaways of cards, really good cards, because we're trying to encourage the hobby. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Something me and Trey bond over. But yeah, definitely go to my lives, go to my old videos, like them, share them, subscribe to the channel. This is what I'm dealing with. Beautiful day in paradise, right? Beautiful Port St. Lucie, Florida. I walk every morning, the same journey, get my day started. So anyway, I just wanted to check in with y'all. And I'm gonna start, if you're up at this time, I'm gonna start doing morning walks. In the comment section, if you have any topics that you want me to go over. Like, I'm gonna do a live later today discussing the UFC fight card that was at the White House. Some crazy fights. It was actually, I fell asleep because I get up so early. I fell asleep before the final two fights. So I didn't get to see Justin Gaethje win, and I didn't get to see Textora lose in the co-main event. But I got to see all the fights before that. I seen O'Malley win, look dominant. I seen what does he call himself? The Incredible Hulk. That guy's a maniac. He said some comments about Michelle Obama after his press conference, or not press conference, his after fight interview. He's a maniac, dude. I bet Trump and the people there were not happy that he publicly said what he said. But look it up, you'll find it on the internet. I'm not gonna talk about it too much because I try to stay out of political topics on here. But yeah, it was a cool fight card. I'm gonna go over my thoughts on it later when my son gets home. But anyway, I just wanted to say hi to y'all. I'm gonna every morning I'm gonna do these. Well, I'm not gonna commit to every morning, but most mornings I'm gonna do a live, just to walk, take you on a journey with my walk, and we can discuss topics. If you have any topics you want me to discuss, just comment in the comment section, and I'll answer questions and discuss any topics that you guys want to talk about. But anyway, I'm gonna keep on walking. I got about another mile and a half to go, and then gonna start my day, eat breakfast, and get to work for the day. Hopefully make something happen, get some sales, and be productive. But I'm gonna end on an encouraging note. Every day you can start over. No matter what happened yesterday, what you're going through, how hard life may seem at points, and how much is stacked against you. I don't care if it's financially, I don't care if it's personal stuff, I don't care if it's mental health, whatever you may be going through, breakups, and there's a ton of different issues we all deal with. But the beauty to life is you can wake up tomorrow and it's a brand new day. And no matter what happened before, you can decide that starting tomorrow or starting right now, you can change things. You can make different decisions. You can change the outcome of today. In this moment, moving forward, you can make different decisions. And like I said, that's the beauty to life. You don't have to stay in the place you're in. I don't care how bad it gets. You can change it. And the biggest way I've been, and the best advice I can give anybody, is your words are powerful. We have the power to speak things into existence. I used to wake up, and if somebody asked me, my wife asked me how I'm doing or how I'm feeling, without thinking, because of the way I really was feeling, I always said, I'm tired. First thing out of my mouth. Oh, I don't feel that good. And that set the tone for my day. Always. I was always tired. I always didn't feel good. And I spoke that into existence before I got anything else out of my mouth. So your words are powerful. Anybody tells you otherwise, I don't care what you're going through. Some things you can't change. Some things you don't have control over. What you do have control over is what comes out of your mouth. And because those words are powerful, you can alter the course of your day and of your life just by speaking positive words. So no matter how I feel when I wake up, I tell myself I feel great. I know that sounds so cliche and simple, but it's changed the trajectory of my days by just, when I wake up, if somebody asks me how I'm feeling, I feel great, whether I do or not. I have energy. I can't wait to get the day started. I speak positivity. And my life has changed based on that. And so any advice I can give anybody, it's that. Start speaking positivity. Think about your answers. Think about what you say that you put into the world, and you will see drastic changes. You know, you don't have money to pay your bills. You can either say, I'm screwed, and I don't know how I'm going to work my way out of this. Or you can say, today, I'm going to find a way to change that. I'm going to work harder today. And things are going to change. And I bet you, if you continue to do that, you will see that. What's up? How you doing today, my man? Biblical Christian rapper in the house. But he's a positive dude. So I was just discussing with them that words are powerful. It says it in the Bible. You know, that how powerful your words are. You can speak. God spoke life. He said, let there be life. Let there be light, and there was light. With his words. And God gave us that same power. We can speak positive things into our lives and existence. If you don't feel good in the morning, and somebody asks you how you're feeling, just try this. Say, I feel great. I feel energetic today. Don't say I feel tired. Don't say I feel terrible. Say something positive. And watch how things change. Say, today, I'm going to start making more money. I love my job. See how things change. It's crazy how this happens. Good, man. I'm glad to hear that. Blessed. Positivity breeds positivity. Words are powerful. Use them wisely. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base, guys. I'm on my morning walk. I'm going to start doing this every morning. So if you guys want to get up and rock with me, I should be walking every morning between 6 and 7. Everybody check out my live from yesterday when we visited the Devil's Tree. Do your research on Oak Hammock Park and the Devil's Tree. But that being said, I hope everyone has a blessed, productive day. JVTV, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm going to start doing a whole lot more videos. But stay blessed. Love y'all. Peace.